resistors.
Minehead returning. Escape pad inbound.
Nope.
Expect heavy resistance.
To infinity and beyond.
That's it.
Rock and roll!
I'll see you guys later!
Faster going.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, you're falling. Oh,
Saved it. Jesus Christ. I am quite high.
holy crap! You're still falling.
Deeprock Galactic is a 4-player co-op first-person shooter that involves you playing as one of 4 dwarven miners on the planet of Hoxus 4. Your job, to mine and explore the diverse ecosystems of the planet in search of minerals, resources, salvaging lost or missing equipment, and the occasional population control. One more thing, this is also the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. Going into presentation, this game is deceptively beautiful. The simple, polygonal, and somewhat jagged looking models can initially make you think that this is something that looks like an old Dreamcast game. And the initial game size doesn't do much to persuade you otherwise. But then looking at the lighting effects and the vivid color palettes and the creative dwarf models, you soon realize that this game has some beautiful art design behind it. Flares light up caverns, casting shadows, gemstones and minerals glow and sparkle from your headlight and flares, and the bioluminescence of the local plants and some of the critters leave the cavern with this otherworldly alien beauty to it. In addition to this, the environments and overall atmosphere of the game is gorgeous. This game has a variety of terrains. You got your crystal cavern, dense biomes that look more like underground jungles, desert caves, ice glaciers, and volcanoes. You'll have a lot more to look at than just random brown and gray tunnels. And these different biomes aren't just some pretty skin over an otherwise random map. These biomes also have some unique weather, fauna, flora, even some geological events to take note of as well. This is fantastic as it adds some variety and personality towards your maps as well. For example, you can run into sand sharks in the desert biome. The radioactive zone is, well, radioactive. And the magma core has these magma geysers. It also does this. This game also sounds great. The bugs sound alien, each with a distinct shriek giving you a bit of an audio cue of what exactly is around you. And this can come in handy when you are dealing with a whole bunch of these little enemies, and then suddenly hear one of these guys coming in closer to you. We'll dive into those guys a little bit later. The weapons also sound great. They each sound impactful, and the dwarves, well, sound Scottish.
Go, go, drop pod isn't waiting forever!
The soundtrack is also fantastic, with a nice synth rock that goes well with this deep space theme. It's kind of like you're listening to what would happen if John Carpenter scored the Mass Effect series or something. There's also plenty of tracks for every map, and quite a few scenarios as well. Music's got some nice ambient tunes for when you're just simply mining away at some mineral veins, synthy tunes for when you discover a secret stash of dwarven upgrades, or stumble across some abandoned mining gear, to heavier rock themes when you and your team are under attack by a swarm of bugs, or when a mini-boss decides to show up. Oh right, yeah, we have to get back to the bugs. Your primary enemies in the game are going to be these bugs, and there's a lot of them. These 6-legged guys come in many shapes and sizes. You have your basic little grunts. These little drones are a classic zombie archetype, as in they'll come at you directly, and in instances of 1 or 2, they're more annoying than dangerous. But then before you realize it, you have dozens of them swarming you, chewing on you. You also have these little baby swarmers. They have a similar philosophy as the regular grunts, only they're even weaker, and you can simply pickaxe them away. Then you got these acid spitters and web shooters, that like to crawl near the ceiling and attack you from a longer range. The game will also throw in these heavier hitters like the Praetorians, which are heavier tank-like enemies that have this armored front, so you gotta shoot them in their butts. There are more swarms, like a lot more, but I don't want to spend more time on this than I already have, as this is starting to turn into its own overview rather than a review. All you need to know is that there are a ton of mobs and even a few mini-bosses that can randomly show up on any given mission, which is a nice way to add a bit of spice and variety on an otherwise routine assignment. Each enemy also has its own unique silhouette, which is handy when trying to distinguish what you're looking at in the dark. And this game can be dark. Especially in the early game when you're still considered a bit of a green beard. The game can almost be like a horror game where you're trying to manage your flare count as you're trying to navigate and stumble through these dark and mysterious tunnels, hearing swarms around you but never really being able to tell where exactly they're coming from, or when they're going to come after you. But hey, you're not going to spend all your time in a cave. Before every mission, you start off on your own space station, your HQ. Similar to the Monster Hunter games, this is where you select your mission, character loadouts, upgrade equipment, buy and create cosmetics. You can even hang out at the bar where you can have a beer that gives you an additional bonus or buff towards your mission. Or just goof off with your friends until you pass out. Once again, the level design here really shows a lot of detail and care went into this game, as the space station and common spaces look just so damn good. With equipment decorations and junk laying around, you feel like someone's actually lived here. And oh wow, that's like a small bed. Like, even for dwarf standards, this is kinda small. Let's talk about these maps. Deeprock has procedurally generated maps. This is one of Deeprock's most interesting aspects from most PvE co-op shooters. For example, you can have a mission type, say collect 150 minerals in the radioactive biome, and have that cave be made up with like a series of small narrow corridors and tight spaces, with several chambers throughout the tunnels. Do another mission of the exact same type in the exact same biome, and you might discover that the cave system is now a large chasm, with very few tunnels, and lots of levels and giant chasms dividing the map. It's this procedurally generated map system that allows, for me at least, to get the sense of adventure that I need. In other co-op games, say Left 4 Dead or Vermintide 2, you find yourself with a set of maps that are designed around co-op play, with a Game Master AI in mind. This Game Master AI is responsible for controlling resources for the player, as well as controlling the frequency of enemy hordes at certain semi-random sections of a level. Depending on several factors, such as the level of difficulty and number of players, the AI can make the levels easier or harder for the party. This can lead to some awesome semi-scripted events and offers players a consistent sense of challenge. Very rarely will the player ever feel like they're being cheated or placed in unfair situations or odds against a mob of enemies. Even if no two games are technically the same, the maps themselves are the same though. You'll always have to worry about a particular horde at the end of a section, or be on the lookout for an ammo spawn at a particular part of the level. This is not the case with Deeprock, as no two maps are ever exactly the same. I don't know what kind of dark magic the developers used to create this system, but it's very impressive. This roguelike map element also means you never know exactly what to expect on any given mission. At the start of your mission, it may be peaceful and let you take in the atmosphere a bit, but other times the very beginning can look like the opening scene from Saving Private Ryan. The mission description gives the players an idea of how these caves might turn out with this little cave complexity meter. The higher the number, the more likely you are to encounter a more complex cave system. And the same screen tells you if the selected missions have other buffs or debuffs in the area, such as low gravity, low oxygen, exploding enemies, or this thing haunting you throughout the entire mission. This helps, but you still never quite know what you're going to run into during any of these missions. There's nothing quite like having a smooth run on a mission, then all of a sudden having to change your plan and tactics when this guy decides to pop into existence in your path between you and your objective. And then you and your teammates are all just trying to rush out of there right before this guy kills y'all. Because the maps themselves are procedurally generated as well, you don't know where exactly these ambushes are going to come from. And this is what makes me feel like an explorer. You never know where the objective can be, so each new cave means it's going to be a brand new adventure. Along with the addition of random events such as lost miner remains, lost chests, old fracking equipment, and even the occasional mini-boss, you'll never have the same experience twice. As a result, every mission is a one-of-a-kind experience. And it can be sad when you look at a really cool-looking cave and know that the first and last time you or your friends will ever see or explore this cave again. I hope one day the developers in the future manage to have a way for us to save these maps. I also understand if the developers decide to never implement something like that into the game. Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk about the classes. You got 4 classes to choose from. You got your drillers, gunners, engineers, and scouts, each with their own unique weapons, loadouts, and special abilities. Your driller starts off with a flamethrower as his primary weapon, and the ability to disregard the map entirely and drill directly to your objective or to the escape pod. They also have the ability to do this.
Explosives, fire!
Oh, you dink.
We've got our gunner here who has the Team Fortress 2 minigun, a revolver, a bubble shield that repels enemies for a short period of time, and the ability to deploy zip lines, which you and your teammates can use to cross large distances. We also have the engineer, who has this shotgun and a little automated turret that can help cover your flank. The engineer also has a nifty platform gun that can help you create platforms and staircases for hard to reach places on the map. Finally, we have our scout, which starts off with a nifty assault rifle and the ability to zip line around like Spider-Man. Just try not to eat yourself into your own death. The scout also comes equipped with a flare gun, which you will be using to help light these dark tunnels for you and your teammates. The cool thing about these classes is that they all seem to complement each other. The driller can get to an objective the quickest, but will struggle when faced with a cliff or chasm. Likewise, the scout and gunner might be able to mow down bugs all day and zip around the map, but the gunner has a limited supply of zip lines, and the scout needs to be careful of where they land. This is where having a diverse team can really come in handy. Also, each of these classes complement each other very well. A driller with a gunner can work very well, as a gunner can provide a zip line on large cliffs while offering bug protection, and the driller can efficiently dig out tunnels and minerals that the gunner is not well equipped to deal with, while also in a pinch throw down some AoE damage and support their team.
Explosives mine!
Similarly, do you have an issue with a mineral vein or something stuck on the ceiling of your cave? We'll have the engineer make a scaffolding for your scout and have him zipline up to it. This is actually really cool character design, as you will usually feel like your character is super useful on just about any given event or map. Furthermore, as you continue to play, you will unlock perks for each of your classes that allow you to customize your loadout. Some of these are usual things: do more damage against bugs, heal more effectively when using medkits or red sugar, but then there are other things that are designed for the game, such as taming a wild bug, jetpack shoes, a vampiric lineage that lets you steal some health from the enemies that you kill with melee attacks. Mixing and matching some of these perks can definitely change up how your characters feel. Jetpack boots is a really nice safety net to have, especially when you're a scout, and being able to tame a bug and use him to fight his brethren is always a super fun feeling. Weapons can also be modified and changed as well with the skill tree and a system called the overclock system. For example, as an engineer, I start off with this little turret, but as I complete missions and levels, I later have the option to upgrade my little turret to a larger turret that deals more damage and has a longer range. Or I can develop two little turrets that I can send to two different locations. Maybe I want my driller's drills to be super efficient at digging, or maybe I want to mod them into becoming meat grinders for bug swarms. Do I want my scouts dual SMGs to handle small swarms with a very small ammo pool? Or do I equip my shotgun and throw in enough upgrades and or overclocks to turn to something that just deletes anything that's in front of it? Once you unlock an upgrade, perk, or ability, you keep it forever and can swap between them freely. I like this as it means you can experiment with different loadouts without much hassle. You're also given 3 slots for each of these 4 classes, meaning at any given time you can have up to 12 different character loadouts. Throw in a few friends or even some very helpful randoms, and you're in for a very fun night. Just trust me when I say you should always be spamming V when playing with other players. If, however, you want to avoid playing this game with some other dwarves, you can always just solo queue it on your own. The game even gives you this little guy, Bosco, and he's the best. You can even customize this little guy and modify him to become either a more of an efficient mining bro or a better combat bro. Honestly, I just kind of wish you could take him with you everywhere at times. Like I said, he's the best.
Sequence.
Rock and stone, brother!
One for the books. Retrieving escape pod.
Now let's talk about some criticisms. Nothing too major to report, some small quality of life issues. Molly, your little pack mule drone that's supposed to follow you, will periodically find itself getting stuck or a bit confused at times. This is nothing too frustrating, as she can walk on walls, ceilings, and even sometimes just phase through walls in order to get to you or to your escape pod. However, on the rare occasion, she can also do this. Yeah, I suppose the AI can also be a little bit on the dopey side. The bugs in particular can also feel a bit meat-headed at times. This might be thematic, as these are supposed to be just mindless bugs that simply attack and rush the miner on sight. However, this can leave these guys feeling a bit dull at times, where any challenge comes from the immediate threat of large swarms or the sheer power of these larger mobs, such as a bulk detonator. I don't know, the acid spitters and web shooters do like to stay on cave ceilings and keep their distance, but that's about it when it comes to enemy tactics. I wouldn't mind seeing a few enemies that try to outflank you, or try their best to split your team up. Oh yeah, these guys do exist, and I also hate these guys, purely because they terrify me. One last note, besides your upgrade and perk tree, all your cosmetics, overclocks, and poses are unlocked randomly and awarded through random events, or in some rare occasions, through set weekly challenges, or hitting a certain skill or level cap. This means that you could get lucky and unlock a sweet cosmetic or awesome overclock for a class that you love to play, and other times you can see a sweet looking overclock that you will spend the next few weeks just trying to unlock, only instead to unlock some overclocks for other classes, or some victory poses or cosmetics for classes that you don't really care to play for. This is mitigated a bit with some random events giving you the option to somewhat decide what kind of reward you want to unlock, which increases the chances of you unlocking that overclock that you're hoping to get. But once again, that's it. It's just increasing the chances of you unlocking it. Nothing there to guarantee that you'll actually unlock it until, of course, you unlock everything through hours of gameplay. I'm also going to take this as a chance to note that, with the exception of a few DLC packs that offer some cosmetic upgrades for further supporting these developers, there are no scumbag microtransactions or pay-to-win frameworks here in deeprock. I can totally see a scummy company making these overclocks and cosmetics under a paywall, with this grind to win format filled with duplicate cosmetics and overclocks with hours of grinding to unlock the most basic of beards. The developers of this game don't have anything like this in place, and it's kind of sad that this can be attributed as a positive in this day and age rather than the standard. Other than that and a couple basic animations looking a little janky, there's really not much else to complain about. In my over 140 hours of playing this game, I've only had a soft crash about 2 or 3 times, and most of that I would attribute down to my own internet connection with the weather outside rather than anything to the actual game or game servers themselves. With all that being said, these are all very minor nitpicks. And with the developers continuing to patch and update the game with additional enemy types, animations, and even mission types, biomes, and new enemies, it's safe to say that the deeprock community will have years of support ahead of them. Overall, if you had a good memory of co-op shooters like Left 4 Dead or Vermintide 2, or you want a new FPS grind to scratch that Destiny 2 itch, then look no further than Deeprock Galactic. Remember to always rock and stone and never leave a good dwarf behind.
Rock and stone in the heart.
Leave no dwarf behind.
Well, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Next video I think we'll tackle a game that's a little older, I think.
We're rich.
We're rich.
We're rich.
Deeprock seriously need to
We're
invest
rich.
in some
We're
better
rich.
voice.
We're rich. We're rich.
We're rich.
We're rich. We're rich. We're rich. Leave no dwarf behind.